And I mean, I'm going to touch on this quickly just because we were saying it, but I was reading an article this morning saying that we could reach 2% inflation by the summer. This was a study done by National Bank. So CIBC was the one originally that I think we were talking about. They were talking about building all the homes. National Bank's focusing on the inflation and Bank of Canada rates. So the banks are very obviously do a lot of research on these on obviously on the economy and where these things are heading. So fairly reliable source, I would say. There's a lot of money that go into these. So it says, could Canada's headline inflation rate reach the neutral target of 2% by the summer, a full year sooner than the Bank of Canada's own forecast? National Bank of Canada thinks so. In a new report, economist Taylor Schleich argues that there's actually a clear path to 2% inflation by the middle of this year. To get 2% inflation, one doesn't need to assume inflation decelerates at all from the recent run rate, he writes. Indeed, simply plugging in the average monthly increase in the past 6 months, which is plus 0.2%, brings you right to target in Q3. He notes that even with the problematic shelter inflation, which continues to run more than 6% above year-ago levels, and it's the leading contributor to headline inflation right now, which is hilarious because that's what's holding the rates up. This is also based on National Bank's expectation that GDP growth will turn negative in both the second and third quarters. There's a really good chart in here. I don't know, obviously, if you're listening, you're not going to be able to see the chart, but it actually shows from January of 2021 till now. It's like a monthly economic monitor. So it shows the actual Canada all-time CPI inflation based on the kind of monthly seasonal adjusted rates. And it shows from here to the middle of the year, like what would need to happen to get to that 2%. And, based on the numbers they're showing, it seems quite realistic. So what does that mean for the Bank of Canada rate cuts? Well, it means it's probably very likely that they might actually be underpricing the cuts in 2024. I know at the beginning of the year, and I mean, we're kind of a pendulum because, at the beginning of the year, they're saying anywhere from 3 to 6 cuts. And then a month ago, we were reporting based on these sorts of, this sort of research that it's going to actually, they've decreased that now to somewhere between 2 and 4 cuts. And now with this new information, they're saying that they could actually see National Bank's currently guessing that they're going to drop potentially 125 basis points, which would be 1.25% drop in the Bank of Canada's overnight target rate, which would bring it from the current rate of 5% down to 3.75. So that could potentially mean large drops on the variable rate side of things as well, somewhere in the maybe 3 to 5 rate drops. So, your variable rates could see upwards of a 1% drop this year, 1 to 1.25.
Okay. That's good. And that's for all those people out there that watch the show and then say that we have no idea what we're talking about. Remember that this is information that's been given to us by the press, by the media, by the banks.
Well, and it is a moving target.
We're not sitting here guessing, trying to pump things up here.
Yeah. But people, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like, the fact that we're both seeing the market shift, we're seeing these positive headlines come out and people are back actively in the market. The spring market is coming, and it's undeniable that people are more willing to go out and shop for homes in the spring. There's usually more supply available. There's more people out shopping, and that creates a buzz, and that buzz creates price increases and multiple offers and competitive situations. So all these other things that are happening, these economic things, these are moving targets. It's not something where someone says it and it's a guess and we'll see what happens. Like every single day, every aspect of the economy is impacting these decisions, and there's no way to constantly have your finger on the pulse, which is why a month ago, the information was different than it is today, because a month has gone by. Certain things have happened with inflation, CPI, all these other factors that are going to impact this eventual rate cut. And that's why we're reporting week to week, because it is changing. You can't take the news from January 1st and apply it for the whole of 2024. It just doesn't work that way. Like our news cycles are constant. They're ever changing and they're ever updating. So
changing by the minute.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, because we'd really like that.